And welcome back to episode 2 of...
We've got a new name. Basically, just because of the word dildo, we're just not sure.
Dildo on here, but
we're just not sure it's going to really work on Google and everything else. So we changed the name, and it's actually one of the girl gang came up with it. I would love to say her name. I wish I'd screenshotted it. But she suggested that we call it
Say What.
Say What's. Because obviously our second name is What's from Jack from
Say
Getting
What.
Married.
I really like that.
Yeah, Say What's. I think that's really us. And because we're doing this together, it makes sense.
Yeah, we need something that basically, when I was trying to upload the podcast to podcast today, and it was saying like you can't use swear words and you have to basically use a different word. So we're starting again now. Say What. Welcome back. Thank you for such a positive response on the first episode.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get better as time goes on. I felt myself that I was sort of kept on turning to Taylor, and my voice kept on going in and out. So I'm going to try.
You're
and be
so
more,
hard on yourself.
More
you
rigid.
just always come across amazing.
I also look back of the video and realised I've got a bit of a whiny voice and a face you'd like to slap.
You are so horrible about yourself.
Well, here we are. We're back. Thank you for the positive response.
Yeah. We're going to get straight into it. We have Gigi. I feel like I'm on a radio. We're going to get straight into this next song. We have Gigi dilemmas today. I feel like some of this is quite like lighthearted at the same time as being like dilemmas, which is obviously a bit of an oxymoron. Like we're talking about dilemmas, but we're going to make it quite lighthearted. So if you are somebody who has sent one of these in and we say something that's maybe not as serious as you wanted it, it's not just a bit.
Exactly what I was saying.
Just a bit of fun.
The idea is that it's a bit of fun. Dilemmas can be quite serious.
Yeah, we're going to try and make them not so serious, but also give you a little bit of like fun, light-hearted advice on them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go.
If it goes wrong, do not call us up and say what on earth was that advice.
Yeah, take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is actually for Jack to answer. So this person is saying, my partner's family are going to flip when they find out that we want to elope alone, which means, Jack, elope means, I had to Google this.
I have no idea what
it means. They want to go off and get married on their own. So obviously without the family and stuff. But she's saying that her partner's family are going to flip. She wants some advice on that.
Okay. So what you're trying to say is they basically don't want a big wedding and they just want to go off and get
They just want to do it themselves.
Well, that's kind of what we did, actually.
Yeah. And
our family flipped and we're still not speaking to them now. So bail on that idea. Just keep your family happy.
But they weren't happy. Any of them. They would have all preferred us to have a wedding.
They weren't basically unhappy. They basically were just like, oh, maybe we can come. Maybe each family member was like, oh, maybe I could come. Yeah. Right, just me.
My mum was like, what about just me and Dad?
And but ultimately, we will actually do a podcast on our wedding and why we chose to do the wedding the way we did.
But in summary, we're just not. We get so easily cringed out, and we just didn't want it to become. It was either going to be, when we first met, a really huge wedding, which was like the initial kind of thing, or it would have been nothing at all. Didn't want to do anything in the middle. And the last few years, we've thought nothing at all.
We just wanted to get married.
Yeah.
And we were applying a lot of pressure to ourselves. I was applying a lot of pressure to myself regarding getting the ring and proposal and all of these kind of things.
And then it was just dragging on that long.
Yeah, it was dragging on. We were thinking if you're going to get a wedding venue, you're another couple of years away at the time. We wanted to invest our money into our houses. It was all just becoming overwhelming, and ultimately we just wanted to be married together.
Yeah.
But then I guess the question would be, well, we got married. Why did we get married? Well, do you know what? Should we answer this on a different podcast? Because the other questions I'd say is, why did we get married?
Well, it just kind of ties in.
Why did we get married?
It just kind of ties in.
No family there.
Yeah.
Why not? Like some people have said, oh, why didn't you have? Well, no one's really said this. I'm making it up, but people are probably thinking, why didn't you just have your mum and dad there?
The thing was, if you have your mum and dad, then my sisters would be like, oh, can't we come? And then you'd have to have your mum and dad and your brother and it was just like one of those things where I just didn't want anyone to be there.
We didn't even want a witness to be there, but you needed legally to have a witness.
Yes. So we ended up having my best friend and her husband, which honestly, I wouldn't say, oh, I'm really glad they came. Like, I wouldn't have wanted anyone there.
I was so scared. I know there's only 2 people there, but I was still
It was
absolutely
awkward.
It
It was
I
awkward.
So scared.
We
It
weren't
still felt like...
We weren't even ourselves. When we were having to look into each other's eyes, I thought, do we know this
Yeah,
person?
I was like blacking
I felt
out.
weird.
I couldn't control
we were
my
sweating,
sweat. And
I like patted you awkwardly on the back. It's just...
Yeah, and I said, I don't know if you've ever looked into someone's eyes for like 3 minutes straight.
It's
just
awful.
It is so scary. No, I'm married
This
to
is like
the person.
someone who I've like
I was
lived
like-
with for 8 years, and we couldn't even look at it. It was just odd.
I was like, which eye do you look into?
Yeah.
I was looking to the left, and I was like, she must be thinking, why ain't I looking into the right? So then I was looking into the right, and I was like, oh, I'll just look at the nose. And I was like, oh, I'm panicking.
Yeah.
And I was so scared, the whole thing. But
Yeah.
after, I was absolutely elated, and it gave me the feeling that I imagined it would, and then that progressed over time as it sank in. I was like,
I think
it gave me everything I ever wanted.
after
from
6
it.
months, we felt
Everything.
like we were married, and it's nice. And now we say at least once a week. Oh, I just love being husband and wife.
Absolutely
Love
it.
being married.
Best thing ever.
Back to the
So
question.
anyway, to the question. What was the question?
That the family's going to flip. Look, I personally
I
think
thought this question was for me.
it is. Shall I give my opinion?
No. So I would say ultimately, I think with a wedding and things like that, you have to be, I would say, selfish in a way. Like the day
100%.
is for you. It's something that you're supposed to be happy with doing. It's supposed to be your best day in the world. Like obviously loads of people, and traditionally you'd share that with other people. But if you don't want to, like you can't on your biggest day of your life, or one of the biggest other than I guess children, try and make other people happy, then I don't believe that you're doing it right.
No.
I think you should just definitely proceed, and they should understand that. Explain it to them. Just say, this is what will make us happy. If I said to anyone and said on their day, this is what's going to make me happy, how could I ever say, well, I want to go, then that would say a lot about that person, because if they turned around and said to me, this would make them happy, then that's all I'm...
And if there becomes
Therefore.
then like falling outs and, well, we're not going to talk to you, then that becomes a whole different story. That becomes like manipulation.
Yeah.
It becomes like, well, because you've chose to do this and because you're not inviting me, I'm now going to manipulate you by making you feel bad, or by saying a certain thing, into almost trying to convince you that you need to do it my way, which is, it's nothing to, your wedding is nothing to do with you, with anybody but you and your partner. And me and Jack were very much on the same wavelength, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we couldn't have been more on the same wavelength in terms of like saving money, not wanting people watching us, not wanting to do all the traditional stuff. Like, we ran out of that registry, didn't even go home because we didn't want everyone to be like, oh, congratulations.
Well, yeah,
we were living in a hotel at the time, actually, because we were waiting to move into our rental. This was obviously last year. And then we just literally went straight to Birmingham for a day of shopping, stayed at a hotel, came back the next day because we just wanted to avoid all of the
and I would say,
cringiness.
like, we get on with all of our family and
A
friends
lot. And we
everything like
see
that.
our family more than probably most people.
Yeah, and what I would say is, obviously they initially showed that they're slightly upset, like, oh, I really wanted to go. But as soon as we explained it to them, they're like, totally get it, enjoy your day. And then after, when we've seen them and so on, it was just absolutely normal.
Yeah.
And do you know what? The thing is that I would say with the wedding is, I'd hyped it up for like 10 years or however long. And then once it's been and gone, it's an unbelievable memory. But then it has just gone, and you move on, and you're married, and you're on to the next step of life.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just kicked something off.
I think the right people, they might be a bit upset because they've got an ideal of what it's going to be like to watch you get married out of a place of love. But once they like understand you and they know what you want out of the day, they will get over it. Even, like my mum is like the mum of all mums. She's like the best mum ever. And
not as good as my mum.
and she really, like, you couldn't imagine a person who would want to be more involved. And I could tell she was a little bit upset, and things had got back to me through my sisters and things like that. But in the end, they do just get over it. And if there is someone who is not going to get over it, then I'm sorry to say, but sometimes people like that just kind of show their true colours, because again it then comes down to manipulation. So
yeah, show them this podcast if they kick off.
yeah. And in my opinion, don't be worried about people flipping. Like if the partner's parents are gonna flip, family are gonna flip, whatever, let them flip. It's your day. This is the one time in your life, as well as having children. Well, it's not even the one time in your life. Why am I even saying that? You can be selfish in your life.
She's basically repeating what I've said.
No, but it's necessary for you to do.
Squawk.
It's necessary for you to do what you want to do in your life, and don't worry about what other people think. Also, like, I know a lot of people, and this will perhaps be very contradictory, because I know a lot of people will like spend 10 years saving for their wedding and will want to spend a lot of money on it and stuff. But for me, I just loved that the next day it was like, oh, it's done, but we actually don't have anything to like pay. We don't, you know what I mean? It was like, we didn't spend a lot of money. It was £141.
Yeah, and it was the same.
The registry.
I mean, I haven't got a ring yet. I will get a wedding.
And I have one, but the stone keep that was like it was €135.
Yeah,
the stone keeps rolling off.
We're really happy with all of the decisions we've made with that.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is which one should we do? So this one says, my partner fancies his mum more than me and we're in competition with each other. I think she's saying that in a way, not that her partner actually fancies his mum, because that would be weird. I think she's saying it in a way like he puts her first over.
Yeah,
and
it's got to mean that, hasn't
yeah,
it?
it means that.
Unless he's got a really hot mum. He just cannot resist himself.
That's disgusting. How you feel about your mum?
No.
Yeah, I think she feels that the mum's obviously coming first. He's obviously making decisions that where, you know, the mum's being put first in this situation. And personally, when I think of that, I'm like, oh, like I would not like that, because I do think, yeah, family first in situations, but when you've got a partner, there's got to be a line.
So basically, the question is that
he's basically a big mummy's boy.
He's spending more time with his mum and putting her before the relationship.
But then there's another part of it where she now feels like she's in competition with the mum, which is not a nice situation to be in, is it? Yeah, I don't think it's a nice situation to feel like you're in competition. It's not a nice feeling to feel like you're in competition with anybody. That's actually never a nice feeling. So to feel like you're in competition with your partner's mum, that is not a nice situation. And I would say, like, have you spoke to your partner about this? I'm guessing that you have, because if it's come down to a situation where you feel like you're now competing with their mum, you must have said something by now. But for me, I would be like, I can sort your shit out.
Yeah, I guess the answer to most of these questions is good communication.
Yeah. So
I would literally communicate with your partner how you feel, and obviously, hopefully, he understands where you're coming from, and because maybe you've not communicated to him yet, and maybe he's just oblivious. I don't know the situation fully, but I'm sure if you've got a good partner and you say to Joe, "What, this is really stressing me out. I feel like, you know, this woman is getting put." Well, not this woman, your mum's getting put before me, and explain all the, you know, some maybe real life scenarios. I'm
think
sure
a great
your partner
way
would be like, okay.
I think a great way to angle it as well is, as you saying it to your partner, I don't want to feel like I'm in competition with your mum, because it feels like me and your mum can't have this real nice relationship, because instead we're in like competition with each other. And so instead of us having this nice relationship that I want to have, that you clearly have with your mum, I now feel like I'm in competition with her, and it's not a nice feeling. I don't want to feel like that around your mum. So can we like set like some boundaries here? Can we like figure it out? Like, I don't think it's nice to feel like you're put second. I feel with your partner, you should be put first. Obviously, if you have children, your children always come first. And that's something that we've got to come. But like, your partner should always be put first. Like, your partners, because you're partners, you're together, you should compromise, you should communicate.
Yeah, totally agree.
You just need to communicate it.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it doesn't... I mean, it's a hard one, and it's not nice to feel like you're in that situation with in-laws either. So I feel like that actually really needs to be solved.
Yeah, I guess we need some more information as well, because it would some real life scenarios and how long they've been seen. Were they married, did you say?
Don't know. Partner, it says.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think you've handled that
Yeah.
one really well.
Next one.
Some great advice today.
This one's for you. It's definitely not for
hell.
me.
Oh, no.
How to talk through an argument without shouting.
Okay, this is great. You've asked the right person, so buckle up your seat because I'm going to give you the answer. I basically used to... What was the question?
How to talk through an argument without shouting with your partner.
I basically used to shout all the time. And I'm not saying at my partner, just in general life growing up, it was just sort of how you deal with
You just had a bad
arguments.
attitude.
No, yeah, I had a bad attitude. I was probably unhappy with myself, growing up as a teenager. And then I would, argue with my brother, my mum and dad, and I'd shout. And I shouted all the time. And that was just part of... It just felt normal to raise your voice and shout. And then as years sort of went on, I was looking to see how I could better myself. And I was in a happier place. I've got to admit, I was more comfortable and happier in sort of like my own skin. So I definitely think that helps. But it's still no excuse to be, I believe, a shouty person. For me now, shouting for me is the worst, one of the worst traits ever. Mm-hmm. I just absolutely
You said that to me since we got...
Hate it.
You said to me it shows somebody with no skills.
Yeah, so basically I was listening, and there's, if you've not already heard of him already, a guy called Tony Robbins. I was listening to him.
We love you, Tony.
Love Tony. I was listening to him from basically like late teens to early 20s, and I continue to listen to him going forward. But basically what I learned, and I think it was on one of his audios or books or whatever it was from, it was basically that it was about losing control. And if you shout, you've lost control of yourself. And change can happen in an instinct. So whether it took you 10 years to get to the point of change, or 5 years or 6 months, the actual change in yourself happens in an instinct. It doesn't take you 5 years to make the change. It takes you 5 years to get to the point of wanting to change, and then something will flip and you'll then make a change.
Okay.
And I basically was like, I hated it. I hated myself. I was shouting. And then one day I was like, right, I've made this change. I'm never going to shout again. And I'm actually going to assess the other person in the situation. And then I started to see, like, let's say I was having an argument with my brother or whatever, I could see them shouting and raising the voice, and I used to look at them, and I was cool, and I was just chatting, and I could see them losing the mind and losing the control, and they're getting irate, and the blood pressure's going up, and I was like, "You're just losing control of yourself." In my head,
you said that to me a few times.
You're just losing yourself.
Is there anything worse than someone when you want to shout and you want them to shout back than them not shouting?
Like, you have just lost in my head. Like, you have just lost. You can't even control your own body. You're like, you weak little man. And I elevated myself, and that does sound harsh, and I do say it with a bit of jest because we've all been there, and it isn't easy, and other factors can come in, whether you're happy in yourself or whatever.
And I can hands on my heart say Jack has never ever once shouted at me. You are so emotionally equipped like that.
Yeah, I mean, I only just learned it. I decided to make the change, and I implemented it, and I could.
You made this change before we were together.
You still get the same feelings. Like if something really pisses you off, or something gets you stressed up, you can feel your like natural subconscious or conscious body like getting into a state of aggression.
You must be going into the garage and screaming.
Yeah. It gets you into a state of I'm getting angry.
Yeah.
But I have control over it. I'm like, and I just flip it, and I'm like, I'm really proud of the fact that I can control it. Mm-hmm. And I think of how I was in the past, and I hate it. And I look and I go, God, I really wish I could have changed that. I just absolutely hate it.
It all, by you doing that as well, by having somebody who, let's say, I think I'm like a million miles away from where I was when we first got together. Absolutely, as well. We're both very, when we have a bicker, we get over it very fast now, don't we?
Yeah.
Whereas it used to could have gone on for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to carry on.
Ultimately, it's about, you
need someone to put out the fire.
You have the empathy and you have the understanding of each other, and we both understand we're in love with each other. We both want the best for each other, and sometimes it can just happen. And the key is to have the empathy and the understanding, and of thinking like, why are they like this? So let's say if Tay, I don't know, had a shit night's sleep and she's tired, and then she has an outburst and says something that, you know, at that point, you naturally, I don't know, I'm just saying, or maybe it's me and I'm tired or whatever, and I say something. At the other, naturally, you could say something back, and then you both know you're escalating it.
Yeah.
But if you understand and go, okay, right, this person's tired, you know, my wife's tired, and you just understand the situation before you then just try and diffuse it. And the more you sort of doing it, you start thinking like, oh, yeah, that's actually really clever. And then you do the same, and you're like, okay, I can tell he's tired. He's just, I don't know, maybe he's snapped or a bit ratty or whatever the situation is. It's just having an understanding of the other person, because ultimately we are just like human beings. It's impossible to wake up and say, I'm going to be level 99% happy all throughout the day. I'm never going to have a crap piece of the day. I'm never going to snap. I'm never going to be tired. It's impossible. So you just got to work around that.
And by you not shouting, at the end, everybody just wants the argument resolved. Not necessarily in the moment, but that is the outcome that everybody wants. And by you being the person who's not shouting when somebody is, everything gets resolved so much quicker.
Yeah. And also as well, I think when someone else is shouting and you've now got control of your situation and you're not shouting and you can see it and you can feel what's going on, then try and diffuse the other person shouting as well. Like, you know, come at it from a different angle or say something
but not
nicer.
not in a way where it's like sarcastic or anything like that. It's actually got to be like from a genuine place, like, look, I want to resolve this, do you want to resolve this?
Yeah, you know what winds people up and you know how you can speak. Just try and flip it the other way. I think it was again Tony Robbins, it's change your perception or your procedure. So if you keep doing the same procedure, you know shit's going to go down. So just try and come at it a different way. So
100%. Love that. Okay, next one. Been with my boyfriend for 5 years, have a child together. We still don't live together and no engagement or anything. I'm just feeling rubbish about it. I have hinted and mentioned marriage, but I don't want to mention it too much so it feels forced. I've been in 2 long relationships and I've never taken the natural steps forward, and I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. What would you do?
Did you want to go first with this?
Yeah, I think you've already got that level of commitment in your life where you've got a child together. Like that's the biggest commitment you could really ever have. But like 5 years together, you wanting and no engagement and those kind of things, have you actually had that? I know you've mentioned it, but have you actually sat down and had a conversation where you're like, look, we've got a child together, we've been together for 5 years now. This is how I want things to progress in our relationship. Are you wanting those same things as well? Because I don't want to feel like I'm like having to hint it, because then it doesn't feel natural and it doesn't feel nice. But I would just want to check that we're on the same page with where we're actually both wanting to go. Because he could be just waiting for like money, like you were for like proposal. He could be wanting to do it in a certain way that's like, he might see, look, I could do it right now, but I know it wouldn't be how she would want it to be. So I'm waiting. And so he could be feeling like that. And you're thinking, oh, he just doesn't want me. But he could be thinking, I want this to be. Yeah,
he could be coming up with like a plan of what he wants, but then thinks like, I've got to do this or save this money or do this. And it could be overwhelming in terms of the financial aspects. I always think anything to do with marriage and engagement.
Yeah, and especially now,
a lot of pressure to that. So
it
maybe
does.
A good
I just think you've got to chat and make sure that you're both wanting the same things in the long run. And then I feel like you have to leave it in a way that, you know, I'm not saying leave it 10 years, because I do get it. Like if you naturally want things to progress and to move on and it's not happening, you're not getting what you want out of a relationship and out of life, and you need to have that. But I do think if you just make sure that you're on the same page and that you both actually want that, and that is going to happen, but it's a case of when the time is right for all of those other outside circumstances, then I think you'll feel a lot better, because you could be feeling like it's not nice for you to feel like, oh, I'm not feeling like I'm not good enough. But he could be thinking, what I could do right now isn't good enough for her. So
yeah, totally agree with that. I think
that's the only thing and the best thing.
Yeah, I would have communicate, good communication, because after that conversation, he might have something planned, or he might want to take the pressure off. I think ultimately, if you're happy and the relationship's going really, really well, then that is what matters the most. You know, there's some people that are married and they've got the marriage, but then they're unhappy. So, do you know, if you know you've got a great partner and life's absolutely great,
that's a really good point, actually.
Then you know you've got absolutely everything going for you and the relationship. So I wouldn't. You got to. I would say as well, like mention to your partner like why you want to get married, why it means a big thing to you, and explain that to him as well.
Yeah.
So I think he would understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think we'll finish on this one. Well, actually, we've got two. Okay. How to know if you're asking for too much in a marriage or if they're not giving you enough.
Okay, who's going to go with this one?
You start.
Okay, sorry, can you just repeat that? I'm so bad at understanding
how to know if you're asking for too much. This person wants to know if they're basically asking for too much in this marriage or they're not giving you enough. Like, is she asking for too much by what she wants, or is the partner just simply not giving enough in that relationship? Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay, I guess this is quite a broad statement and we don't have all of the information and knowledge, but there was something that I listened to the other day that really hit
you
home.
Are like mindset guru.
It hit me.
I feel like I'm with Tony Robbins himself.
No, it really hit me, and I think I'm going to implement some more.
Ladies, you need a man who's doing his personal development.
So basically,
because even if you're very personally developed, they can teach you something.
So basically, I think it was Jay Shetty actually. I think he mentioned something to do with like you can spend time with your partner, but time doesn't mean energy. It was insane. So basically what you can do is you can think in your head, right, I spend every evening with my wife and we watch Netflix together. But really your energy isn't there because you're on your phone, your missus is on your phone. It's sort of...
It's time, but it's not quality time.
It's time, but it's not quality time. You're not actually exchanging energy. And then you wonder why your wife at the end goes, like, you know, I don't know.
We haven't spent any time together.
Spent any time together. And
this is conversation we've had.
Yeah, and we're confused because we're like, I've spent all week with you. Now I'm going to go out on Friday.
How dare you go out with the lads? You've not spent any time with me.
You've not exchanged energy. If you were to go and, I don't know, do something where you... It doesn't have to be involving money. It might be something that she really likes. Maybe I'll take Tay. Maybe go on a walk or something where
cooking a meal together.
Cooking a meal, and together. You know you're exchanging energy
because you're having to do something together.
That really hit home, and I was like, yeah, you know, we've been in times with that where I have spent time with you, but I've not actually given you my energy. 100%. So that's eye-opening. But sorry, can you just repeat the question one more time? So
basically, she wants to know whether she's asking for too much or whether her partner's just simply not giving enough.
Well, I don't fully know how to answer that, but...
I've got a good baseline for this one. I just personally think that in life, you do have a certain criteria of what you want in a person, right? Or in a relationship. You know what makes you happy. You know what keeps you like committed to the relationship. You know what makes you feel fulfilled in your relationship and therefore like fulfilled in life and everything. And I think if your partner's not hitting that, then... And this is a really broad statement to make, and it's the extreme, okay? So because we don't know all the answers, but I'll talk about this in an extreme way, is that if they're not hitting everything and you've spoke to them, communicated with them, you've said to them, look, this is what I need from a relationship. Like you have personal needs inside a relationship. And if your partner's not able to fulfill them, then you have to question, is this the right partnership for me? It could have been the right partnership 5 years ago. People grow, people change. Some people grow, some people stay the same. It's just like what happens, like relationships can last seasons or, you know, years and rather than forever. That's just a thing. And I just think you have to, if you have been that person who's really communicated with your partner and tried to get those things out of them and you're not receiving them anymore, then I would be questioning whether that relationship still is like serving you and also serving that person. Because I always think in a relationship that most likely, and you hear of this with like, you know, I've heard of this with women who are in a relationship and they're really not happy. And when I've been speaking to them, I'm thinking, maybe a partner's not happy either. And they're thinking their partner's going to be really upset if they're going to like finish the relationship or they're thinking in that way. But actually, when you're not happy in the relationship, that the high chances are that your partner's not happy as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like the high chances, even if you think that they're happy, you know, they get into work, they have the beer, they have the dinner, they go to bed, like you think they're pretty happy, but you're thinking in your head, I'm not happy. Chances are they're not the happiest person they can be either, because it's that energy thing. If you've not got the energy with your partner and you're not having great times together and stuff, like they're probably not happy either, and they could be happier.
Yeah, I also think that basically what has helped served us is having an understanding of your partner. So there's things that you do for yourself, there's something that your partner does for yourself, and there's something that you both do together. And having an understanding of that and working out a balance, you will literally be a million times happier. So Tay completely understands that I have certain things, certain needs that must be met
in order for you to be
they're
your
like my
happiest.
must have for me to be my happiest. So they would be to be like going to the gym or going to football a couple of times a week, or in the past I was like having piano lessons or guitar lessons, and then it would have to be like, you know, an evening out or something to do with the lads at some point. And Tay actually encourages all of those things, and we make sure there's plenty of time for those things and there's things that Tay wants to do. But then when we are then together, I am bringing my absolute peak self, because I'm happy.
Because you filled your cup.
I've filled my cup, and now I'm ready to share the overflow with Tay in an absolute peak state. I'm content. I've been to the gym. I've done this. I've done all the things that I want to have done for myself. And I think a lot of relationships,
you're not given the rest of you to me. You're giving the best of you to me.
And it took us. I mean, we didn't get this off exact. Like we worked it out.
I'd say it took 3 years.
We worked it out. Like, you know, there was clashes and so on. But the more you understand, and then you're like, okay, the more happy you'll be. And we sort of sussed that out. And yeah, I would say a lot of people, how it works is they'll go, well, you're not going to football, or you're not doing this, or if you start getting into that and then you're taking away what your partner wants to do, or maybe they'll say the same,
they'll
like,
never be happy with you when you're together.
Then you're both sort of stopping off each thing that makes people happy, and then you're both
trying to be happy together, and it's just not
both sat at home, and you're both not content because you've not got yourself, you know, really happy. And now you got to be happy with each other, and really you're just winding each other up. You're both in a lack state, and you just forcing it, and you can get into a spiral of just you know, knocking stopping
100%.
people from doing things.
So I think this really comes down to communicating those things. I'm sure you've 100% sure that you've already done this, but it's always worth a last chance as well, just to say to them, look, these are the things I really need. Be dead serious with them and say, these are the things that I really personally need in a relationship. Look, can we work on these things together? You know, can we work it out? There's maybe things that they need from you as well, maybe even in order to give you those things. And then I think it's just a case of working out whether, like you say, they are just not a person that's going to be able to give you that, and that's what you need, and therefore this partnership maybe isn't going to be forever or continue. Or you can try and work it out, but the key is communication.
Yeah,
and
communication is
the key is communication, never in an argument. If there's ever something serious that you want to say, don't say it in the argument, because it will literally
refer back to point one. Don't shout.
Yeah, it will never be taken seriously if you say it in an argument, ever. It has to be like, can we have a chat? Which is like the worst feeling ever, but it's just got to be done.
Yeah, just keep communicating. Like communicate at the start, communicate in a few months' time. Keep going. Communication is ultimately the key.
Yeah.
And when two people want to improve their relationship together, it should be absolutely fine.
Yeah. Okay, and I think we'll finish up there.
Yeah. How long has that podcast been?
I think
that wasn't as I'd say lighthearted and.
No, I think there was some really good advice there.
But it was fun for us.
And I think there's people out there who are in like challenging relationships, or who aren't happy in relationships, and there could be a little nugget there for them.
Yeah, hopefully that creates.
And it's not always got to be laughy jokey. Like life it's not all a laugh and a joke. People need some serious advice as well. And do you know what? I do think we're good at giving advice. I don't think you're good at taking it, but I'm joking. You really, really are.
I don't like giving out advice unless anyone asks. I'm definitely not someone that...
You're not an unsolicited
I would never go
advice.
up to someone and say, hey, this is how you live your life. So I don't feel like I'm in a position to do that. If someone asks, I'll give them some advice.
Yeah, and then I'll add in my 2 pence
That's
as well.
the only reason I ask them.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yes,
I
we
hope
hope
you
you've
enjoyed that podcast.
Yes, that was GG Dilemmas. And feel free to send those kind of things in at any time. And if we're ever doing another one of these kind of dilemmas podcasts, then we will definitely try and answer them. But the next one is going to be very exciting because we are doing GG Confessions. So that will be live.
This has been highly, highly requested, actually, isn't it?
It has.
I actually wasn't part of the GG Confessions, so I don't really know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I think you're going to find some of them a little bit uncomfortable because it's going to be like...
I'm someone as well that goes like, I go red easily. Like in a situation, Joe, if like more than I'm in a, I don't know, I'm out with more than 2 people and 2 people look at me at the same time, I just go, oh my God. And I start like sweating and going red. And then everyone's like, why are you going red? And then I'm like, oh shit.
You've got a lot better with that.
It's a fear I've had for about 10 years. I can even feel myself going red now, actually.
You know, we're both quite naturally, I hate to say it, we are naturally quite anxious people.
Yeah.
We're both Pisces.
So that what I'm saying is if Tay reads out a question that's, you know, a little bit naughty and it just hits that spot.
A little bit naughty?
You might see me going red, not red, red, not red. But anyway.
Yes, I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of very girl talk, but it'll be nice to have the male perspective on it as well. But also, we are going to share one of my biggest confessions, personal confessions. This is something that you wanted to share. You wanted to share it not long ago on stories. You're like, oh, can we tell them about that story?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great story,
You know what happened in the car?
I'm excited to tell Tay's story about
I am not afraid. I am not afraid of it.
Why don't we get a few of those? There's quite a lot of stories like that. Why don't we get
That's
a
a
few
long
of those?
one.
That's a long one.
This is like my most embarrassing story ever.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't actually get embarrassed, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
Oversharer.
It was an absolute mess.
Right. Well, don't give anything else away.
No.
Because we will see you for the next one. GG Confessions.
Thank you again for listening. Thank you for
Thanks
watching
for listening, guys.
if it's on YouTube.
Yes.
Have
love you
a
guys.
lovely day. Love
Bye.
you.